Shabbat Shalom.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Try it with us. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu, Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is in so many ways, which we will explore over the course of our time together this Shabbat evening. It is an evening, a Shabbat of love. Now, out there, there's a name for it. That's not what we're doing tonight. But in truth, so much of what we do every time we worship together and every time we come together for Shabbat is about love. And we're going to explore some of those themes tonight. Love of the Torah, love that comes and all that we're offered from our tradition. And we started with those words. That beautiful song is a prayer also. Those Hebrew words, hashkiveinu, are the words that are built into our liturgy in the evening, any evening, but they're also part of the bedtime ritual. Hashkiveinu, asking God to spread over us a shelter of peace and love, a shelter of peace. Tonight, we begin our Shabbat celebration asking for that shelter, celebrating that we have it in our beautiful sanctuary, and for those who are live streaming with us to be able to be part of it as well. But we begin also by recognizing that coming together in the beauty of tradition, in the beauty of Shabbat, in the beauty of family coming together, and visitors with us from out of town as well, this is a shelter, and this is what we create together in partnership with God. And so it is indeed a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's get started. Let's bring the light of Shabbat in. We're excited to have Nathan and his family here. Big Shabbat for every Shabbat is sacred and sweet. This one a little bit extra bright for the Million family. So I want to invite Nathan and his family to come help us light the Shabbat candles. Mom, dad, sister, immediate family, come on up.
You can follow along with our blessing on page 2 if you want. No pressure.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalikner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom.
I want to, before we continue, introduce myself. I'm Rabbi Leah Lewis, and joined by...
I'm the Rabbinic Intern. I'm Jeff Silverstein.
I'm Cantorial Intern Aliya Stuart.
And we have with us the musical gifts of Evan Griffiths and Sam Webster. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to invite you to take a moment. I know many of you know each other, but if you can turn around and you see somebody you don't know, introduce yourself and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And even if you know them, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to be together. Let's continue with the words of Hine Matov, how good it is to be here together.
On page 10.
Hine matov u'manai, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manai, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'mana'im, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, ya la 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 la. Hine matov, ya la 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 la. Hine matov u'mana'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'mana'im, shevet achim gam yachad.
Kabbalat Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat is often referred to as the Friday night service. But in truth, it's this beginning part of the Friday night service that is built out of music to help us transition from the week that is ending, whatever that week was. For some, I'm sure, a little chaotic maybe, some filled with travel, some joy, some sorrow, whatever it was that brought us here, now we're here together to make that transition. And there's no better way to do that than through music, and in particular with the words of the Psalms. And so we're going to continue on page number 12 with Psalm 95, an arrangement by our own Evan. Nope.
Not this one. Sorry.
But
the
it
next
doesn't
one.
matter. It is Psalm 95. You wouldn't have known the difference anyway, but Psalm 95, let's transition into the space of this beautiful and holy Shabbat.
Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, nahatonai, yai lai 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 lai, nahariyah, to God, the maker of all, pure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, Nahariya, yai lai 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 lai, Letzor Isheinu, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
On this Shabbat, where love is so present in our minds and in our space, we might think of that classic representation of love, the couple at the bima, perhaps under the chuppah, ready to be wed. And on Shabbat, we think of this time, the welcoming of the Shabbat into our presence, as if we were welcoming in that bride. And that is the message and the language of our Lecha Dodi. So we'll join together on page 20 to welcome in the Sabbath bride and feel all of that love the same way that it is so infectious when a bride and a groom unite. So too is it when the Sabbath bride comes into us.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala bani Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi likrat kala bani Shabbat Kabbalat. Shamar v'sachar many
And we face the door just as we would welcome a bride, so we welcome Shabbat as our beloved.
Boi v'shalom ateren bala gam b'simcha u'etzola toch emunei am segula Kabbalat, Lecha Dodi,
remain standing and turn page 28 for our call to prayer, our Baruch Hu.
As we mentioned, we're focusing on a theme of love tonight, and we have so many prayers, so much of our liturgy already focuses on love. And our next prayer, Ahavat Olam, it's saying that God has offered us this everlasting love. It will be with us today, it has been with us always, and it will continue to be with us. So we're thinking of that everlasting love as we turn to page 32 and join together. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta, otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי חם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. וההבטחה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. With those words of love trickling in our ears, we join together for the Shema on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Not only does God show God's love to us, but we show our love to God through mitzvot and by living a Jewish life. That's exactly what the words of Ve'ahavta are all about. And so I can think of no better person to lead us in the Ve'ahavta tonight than Nathan. Page 36. Come on up. You can bring your book. We've got one for you here if you don't bring yours, but come ahead, come lead us as we all join with you in the words of Ve'ahavta. That word literally means, and you shall love.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol lavavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinamtam levanecha vedibarta bam Beshiftecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot aliyadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru Ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai, ve'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etem ve'eretz Mitzrayim li'otachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Our tradition, the rabbis of our tradition teach that if you take a life, it's as if you're taking an entire world. And if you save a life, it is as if an entire world has been saved. Over these recent weeks, we have watched with joy and tear and overwhelm as hostages have been coming back from Gaza. One at a time, two at a time, three at a time. Worlds have been returned to us. And yet we're reminded that there are still more than 6 worlds that are being held in the tunnels, dark tunnels of Gaza. 6, 73 worlds still being held in captivity. And so we never forget them. We never forget them. And at the same time, our tradition teaches us that we have a responsibility not just to hold them in our minds and in our hearts, but to continue to do the work that's needed here, there, and all over the world, even with the people right next to us, to make our world a better place so that those worlds will be returned and so that our world will be whole again. When we sing Mi Chamocha, we keep them in mind because it's our responsibility to make sure that we continue to walk toward freedom. That journey started with the Exodus in Egypt, but it continues now for us today in a very real way. We can't stop walking, and we can't stop singing, and we can't stop doing the work that's needed to bring those worlds home. Mi Chamocha, page 40.
We opened with a version of Hashkivenu, this idea that God shelters us with love and compassion. This next piece is Hashkivenu, but this version was written intentionally as a lullaby, because when do we give shelter? When do we give love? Well, hopefully all throughout the day, but especially at night when we really need it the most, when we lay down to sleep and we are looking for some peace. So we're going to sing Hashkivenu as a lullaby from God. Laila Tov, my sweet love, good night. How the moon and stars shine for you so bright. Rest now, my love. May your dreams be sweet. How my love for you reaches to infinity. Laila Tov, my sweet love, good night. How the moon and stars shine for you so bright. Rest now, my love. May your dreams be sweet. How my love for you reaches to infinity. How my love for you reaches to infinity. Adonai Eloheinu v'ha'amidenu malkeinu lechayim hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'ha'amidenu malkeinu lechayim uv'ros aleinu sukat shlomecha uv'ros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Amen. We'll now move into our standing prayer, our Amidah, and it is my pleasure to again invite up Nathan to help us in our leadership. Surprise, maybe. Come on up with us. We're going to all go up to the bima and we'll open the ark, and I'll invite you all to please rise and turn to page 46 for our Adonai Svatai.
Adonai sefer tifta ufia gita hilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Vikone hakol, vizocher haste avot rimahot, umevi geula livne v'nehem, leman shemo bava. Melech Chozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav le'Oshiach, mashiv haruach u'mashrid hagashem, Elohim b'chesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech nofim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afa, michamocha ba'givurot, umidom elah. Melech mimi du mechaye umatmia Yeshua v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol.
Continue silently with either the words on the page or those meditations that are in our own hearts up to page 62.
When you've concluded with your prayers, you may be seated. Join together in the words of Oseh Shalom on page 62. Oseh Shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh Amen.
We've been tossing around so many big words tonight, like bar mitzvah. No, like love and peace and harmony and all of these big, lofty words. And I want to introduce a new one. I want us to talk a little bit tonight about trust. Before we can do that, we have to locate ourselves in the Parshat HaShavua, our weekly Torah portion, and within the context of the Ten Commandments. So this week, as a brief summary, the Israelites are out of Egypt. They're in the desert. They're now approaching rapidly Mount Sinai, and they do get there, and Moses does, in fact, climb up and down like 3 times, calves for days. Moses introduces God, who then speaks the Ten Commandments. And the Ten Commandments are maybe the most famous part of our Torah. No thanks to Charlton Heston. They were already part of our tradition's wrestling match for thousands of years. Since the moment we received them, we have been asking questions about them, like which commandments appeared on which tablet, or why are these 10 set apart from the other 613 commandments? But there's one question that I personally find super fascinating, and I love where it comes from in the Midrash. So I'm going to take you through the rabbi's question of why, given their importance, this is paraphrased, they didn't actually say this part, but why, given their importance, as part of what it means to live Jewishly, or in that time to live an Israelite life, why were the 10 Commandments given now rather than all the way at the beginning of the Torah? If these are the crucial rules that are going to govern our whole society and give us sort of a foundation for ethics, why don't they come earlier? And before I tell you what they say in the Mechilta de Rabbi Yishmael, I'm curious if anyone has any ideas. So this is where I turn the mic to you. I'm going to need at least one volunteer, but we can take certainly more. Does anyone have any guesses why was the Torah not given at the beginning of, or why was the Ten Commandments not given at the beginning of the Torah? Why was it not until after the Exodus? All right, we got 1 taker, 2 takers. First, second.
Because the people were not yet ready.
The people were not yet ready. This is a fantastic answer. Okay.
Were the Israelites and their behavior lacking in something? And so then at the very end, the 10 Commandments had to be written in order to accommodate those gaps.
This is certainly a possibility, something that we observe maybe at other points of our tradition. Yes.
I agree with the first guy.
Okay, they were not yet ready. Any other thoughts, questions? Rule of 3s, I like it. Okay, here is what the rabbis said. They, as rabbis often do, refuse to give a straight answer, and so we have it in the form of an analogy. They teach us it is like if a person were to enter a city and tell the people who lived there, "I will rule over you." The people, in this case, would be shocked. They would respond, "Did you do anything for us that you would rule over for us? Why? Why should you be in charge?" But from there, the person goes out, and they build walls for the city, and they dig wells to provide water for them, and they help the people fight off their enemies. And then the person returns and says, "I'm going to rule over you." And at this point, the people respond, "Yes, of course, please. You've done so many wonderful things." Thus, God brought Israel out of Egypt, split the sea for them, brought down manna for them to eat, raised the well for them to drink water, brought in quail for them, fought against Amalek, and then said to them, "I will rule over you. Take these 10 commandments." At which point the Israelites were ready to accept and say yes. This story, I think, teaches us a lot of things, but specifically one minuscule item about the nature of God, and a poignant lesson for all of us in this moment in time. First, we learn that God, despite all of God's overwhelming power, lacks the will, perhaps, to force us into submission. God does not expect blind faith and worship, but rather sees us as willing partners in a relationship in the project of healing and maintaining the world. We had to agree, and there needed to be a reason. This analogy, by which God provides first and asks for cooperation later, also teaches us something about the nature of trust. This is what God needs when God presents the Israelites with the 10 Commandments. God requires trust that these rules are good and are just. Trust that God alone is God, and God alone has the ultimate authority. And trust that these rules would apply equally to all Israelites and perhaps to all humankind. And though God presents these words, these laws, through a divine utterance, God also teaches us that when it comes to gaining trust, actions speak louder. In our challenging times as Jews and as Americans, it is crucial that we can trust each other. But more importantly, and at least first, we have to show each other that we can. So let us, like God, make our actions complement our words and engender deep and meaningful and mutual relationships. And then, with God's help, we will guide each other to the other end of the wilderness. Shabbat Shalom. We will continue now with a moment for Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. We'll join together on page 253, but before we sing our prayer, I want to invite those of you who are here that might have somebody in your lives or in your broader community that you're thinking of who need healing right now, healing mind, body, spirit, maybe all of them. So as I move my hand across the kahal, I want to invite you to call out those names. And it's okay if you say your name at the same time that somebody else says. I think that when our voices overlap, it only increases the power of the resonance. So don't be shy. We know a lot of people need healing.
The congregation, we're offering our Mishaberach blessings for Michael Alcove, Bonnie Chizek, Megan Coutinho, Mitch Dorff, Chaim David, Karina Wallen-Harar, Cindy Jacobson, Marvin Levy, Chuck Polyp, Quincy Rose, Judith Salter, Nancy Center, Jim Sherman, Ansel Sloan, and Shraga Stern.
We'll join together on page 253. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Before we continue with our service, I want to take a moment just to, first of all, thank our amazing musicians and our interns. Can you believe these are interns? Not for much longer. They're both about to be ordained, and we are just so blessed to have you both with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And also to wish a ginormous mazel tov to Nathan. Are you having fun so far? Yes, I can tell. It's going to be a fantastic, fantastic weekend of celebration. There is so much going on here at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, as always. So if you get our weekly emails, please take a look through and find something that's interesting to you and put it and make a note to be part of something. But I want to just point out one specific thing, and that is that we have been collecting Judaica items for members of our community who lost everything in the fires. And in short order, we're going to be helping to rebuild people's collections of Judaica ritual items. And those are those things that the insurance just doesn't want to cover. But regardless, it is more about the spiritual side of helping our community know, members of our community know that we are there with them for the long haul. And so while the collection has officially ended today, I happen to have it on good word that if you have a last couple of things that you want to bring, please be in touch. We'd be happy to take those things in the coming days. All right, so let's continue our service with the words of Aleinu that remind us that a better world is out there, as always.
Page 282.
Thank you for that. Page 282, if you're able, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Be seated. Hannah Senish, a poet and a paratrooper in Israel, wrote these words: "There are stars up above so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember." As a congregation on this Shabbat, we remember those who have died during this past month: Robert Brand, George Nagler, Jerry Felsenthal, Louis Joseph Hassan, Sila Horn, Stan Inkelis, Daniel Elkin Levin, Donald Lowe's, Norman Mallon, Herbert Rettinger, Adrian Rosenbaum Jacobson, Arlene Salkin, Hal Slan, Ruth Stock, Bradley Eric Sugar, Philip Sunshine, and Diane Tome. This is our mourner's Kaddish, and so we want to give everybody an opportunity to add to this collective blessing the names of your loved ones. If anybody is here is remembering somebody on this Shabbat, somebody who's died in these recent days, or at this time in years past. If you'd like to share their names, I invite you to do so at this time. We think of all of them, and we hold them in our own hearts and in our prayers. As well, we think of all those who have died as innocent victims of terror and war all over our world. We think of all of those who have died as and have nobody left to say Kaddish for them. We think of all those who died in the Holocaust as well. We take the responsibility of giving thanks for their lives and remembering them. We take that responsibility upon ourselves. As a congregation, I invite us together to please rise as we turn to page 294, as we say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. The memory of all the righteous ones is indeed an everlasting blessing, and we give thanks for the blessings of their lives with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach leolam olmei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei tekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'elma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen. Holding on to them in our hearts, filled with love for them, for all of our community, will end by our reminder to build and continue to build this world with love. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And you must build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, 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 then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesed, olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. 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 We're going to invite Nathan and his family back up to conclude with Kiddush Motzi.
It's the last time.
It's the last surprise. And while they're making their way forward, she just walked out, but I wanted to thank Cheryl Garland, who, as always, pulls together a beautiful Oneg Shabbat. Come on up. Oh, there she is. Thank for pulling together a beautiful Oneg Shabbat for us. Oh, down here, down here.
Oh, you move. Oh,
Yes, we're good that way.
Okay.
Please take my spot.
Love-themed chocolate. Lots of chocolate out there. And also, I realize that we have a lot of visitors, so I just want to make an informal offer that if anybody would like to stay after for a few minutes, I see a lot of people staring around our sanctuary. I'm happy to answer any questions or explain a little bit about all of the beauty of our sanctuary. But first, let's join together with Nathan in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah lanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon inhalanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom dehilah lemikra'i kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat L'chaim. It's just juice, don't worry. Very sweet.
Sibling poll, sibling poll. Let's see. Wait, what? Not yet.
After the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Whoa! Oh my goodness. Shabbat shalom.